Hi guys, it's Kirsty. Today I want to talk about feeling restless with anxiety. But before I go into that, I would like to ask, please do subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button below in order to stay up to date with the new videos as they're released. So I wanted to cover this feeling that we can get when we've been suffering with anxiety or OCD for a while, because it's something that I've seen mentioned in comments on other YouTube videos, and I've seen it mentioned in the OCD recovery Facebook group as well, and it's definitely something that I experienced. So by restless, I mean kind of feeling fidgety, feeling on edge, like you can't sit still, you can't seem to get comfortable, you're feeling sort of quite highly strung, maybe even a bit irritable. You might sort of almost feel like you can't stop fidgeting around, like you've got sort of restless leg type feeling, or you're constantly having to be doing something or fiddling with something. So this is something that I've definitely experienced, and I have to say, when I look at my partner relaxing on a Sunday, I feel like I should be doing the same thing, but it's not something that comes particularly easy for me. And I find myself sometimes feeling restless now, even when I'm doing a lot better with my OCD than I was a year or two ago. So I did want to cover this because I think it's something that we can almost become overly busy as a compulsion from it. But also I wanted to cover it if it's something that it's really tormenting you, because there are actually fears behind it, and there are reasons why restless feelings might hang around as well. So I want to go into that. So firstly, I want to talk about why we might have these sort of feelings of restlessness. And I think that Paul Davies covers this quite well in his book At Last Alive, which is on the reading list. And I've actually referred to that book several times in videos because of the way he describes things. But he describes anxiety feelings and sort of when you feel a lot of physical anxiety symptoms as this stored up energy that we've been kind of generating through constant internal analysis and overthinking, and this kind of energy builds up, and it has to be released through kind of physical anxiety feelings. And it's kind of a bit like that with these feelings of restlessness that we may feel when we've been anxious, because the reason why we might feel sort of tingling in our fingers and things like that when we're anxious, because our body is releasing adrenaline and other hormones that are required for us to maybe run away from danger, because our minds might think we're in danger. So when we've been anxious for long periods of time, there's still potentially our body's still releasing energy, and we might feel that in our limbs and feel like kind of excess energy in a way. And that can sort of almost be felt in the form of kind of restlessness, or maybe even, and with that, like muscle tension as well. So one of the things that might keep this kind of feeling recurring is being able be struggling to accept that feeling, hating the fact that you feel so restless because you're so desperate to relax, like you see other people relaxing. The problem is that we're potentially placing, we're saying that I should be able to relax, or I must be able to relax, or I mustn't feel this restless. And the more we do this, the more we hold on to these kind of rigid rules that we might have for ourselves when we look at other people and how nicely they look like they're relaxing. We're saying that the more we're doing that, we're saying it's completely unacceptable to us that we don't feel like we can do that. And of course, we know what we resist persists. So the more we feel it's unacceptable that we can't relax and that we feel this restlessness, the more we're probably going to be feeling it, because our mind will be watching out for that feeling, and it will be that, oh, here it is again. We're conscious of it and we're uncomfortable, fidgeting around, and, we've been monitoring it. And so then it just keeps it coming back. So like with, you know, many other things that we've been trying to push away, the more we do that, the more it fuels that cycle, and we grow to fear it even, or we just become very down about this inability to relax. I also did want to go into kind of feeling restless in our minds as well, you know, which a lot of anxiety and OCD is, you know, it's constant analysis, rumination, pushing against discomfort. And I wanted to talk about the restlessness behavior, I suppose, as well. So there's feeling restless in turn, you know, in our bodies and not being able to get comfortable. But then there's also kind of the restlessness feeling in our minds and how we might react to that. So by this, I mean that OCD kind of gives us a sense of urgency, and, you know, we want to like try kind of feel more comfortable and in control. And we may find ourselves reacting to either restlessness kind of in our minds or restlessness in our bodies by keeping overly busy. So exhibiting behaviours of restlessness as well as feeling it. You know, it might be constantly doing chores, it might be constantly wanting to be around people, finding jobs to do, it might be kind of wanting to, you know, fit in exercising, speak to this person, you know, working late or something. But this is kind of almost like potentially, I mean, it's good to sometimes, to a degree, to distract from what's going on in our minds sometimes, you know, to refocus on what we want to do where we can. But the problem is that it can become a bit of an avoidance behaviour as well, because if we're constantly behaving in a restless way, doing this, doing that, constantly, you know, not going to sit down, because the minute I sit down, the thoughts might start coming in again, and then I'm noticing them, and then I'm spiralling, and then I might do compulsions. But actually, the act of avoidance is a compulsion. And if we're keeping sort of busy and behaving in a restless way in order to avoid experiencing certain feelings and thoughts and sensations, urges, whatever it may be, then that's compulsive, and that can become a problem in itself. This is definitely something I've experienced as well. So I've experienced the physical feeling of feeling restless, but also I have previously behaved in quite a restless way to keep busy, because if I wasn't constantly doing two things at once, then I would be focusing on what's going on in my mind and you know, having to feel the full discomfort. I remember a particularly stressful job I had at the height of my kind of OCD. Well, it wasn't the height of my OCD suffering. I'd gotten quite unwell with it, been signed off work, then gone back to work, and I started working on my recovery, but I hadn't found quite the right help that I needed at the time. So I was still very much latched onto my theme. But while I'd be working, I'd always have to have something on YouTube going on, like a podcast or something, so that I could have like two things to kind of almost be focusing on, in order to not focus on my mind. Complete avoidance, and then I'd complain about not being able to concentrate. I wonder why. So I definitely have experienced the physical feelings of restlessness, but also behaving in a restless way. Also, I found myself behaving in a restless way, not just as an avoidance behaviour, but also because I would be, another avoidance behaviour, trying to get things done as quickly as possible in order to do everything I could to avoid feeling stressed. So like basically running around trying to burn through my to-do list, because I had irrational beliefs about being unproductive as well. So that was something else that I did. So here, where we're behaving in a restless way, perhaps as an avoidance behavior, or, you know, we want to do something with the excess energy. So firstly, that's not an issue with, you know, well, I might as well, you know, I'm feeling restless, I might as well use it, you know, use that extra energy. But when it becomes compulsive and you're doing it to avoid, you know, avoid what you're thinking and feeling and discomfort, then it becomes a problem. So the key is to not beat yourself up over, you know, the restless behavior, and also to not beat yourself over not wanting to feel restless feelings in your body as well. But there does need to be a degree of balance here. So whilst it's, you know, we don't want to be trying to force relaxation, because the last thing we want to be doing is encouraging musts and shoulds in our minds about, I must relax, I should be able to relax. But it doesn't mean that you can't sit and watch television and feel the discomfort. You know, it's useful to show our minds that we're willing to feel those uncomfortable feelings, you know, especially if you want to get to a point where you can sit and watch television with your partner or your mate, or not, even if not watching television, read a book or something. It can feel very frustrating when you're constantly sort of having to shuffle around, you're feeling uncomfortable. But, you know, part of the OCD recovery journey is learning to tolerate all sorts of feelings. And one of those important feelings is feeling frustrated. So even if you're trying to read and you're constantly feeling distracted and you're not feeling relaxed, you can still you know, you can still read if that's, you know, something that you would like to be doing. Or if, like me, you're a keen gardener, you know, you can still sort of have, you know, relax while you're gardening a little bit, although gardening can be quite physical. But if you're doing something sort of light physical, you can do, you know, you can still do that behavior, even if you're not feeling relaxed while you're doing it. It's like, if you suffer from relationship OCD, you know, we don't want to be chasing those feelings of love. Again, here, you don't want to be chasing the feelings of relaxation or the lack of the feelings of restlessness, or whatever discomfort you're feeling in your mind that you're trying to resist, to get away from. So I hope this video has been useful if you are someone who struggles with feelings of restlessness in your body and sort of feeling uncomfortable, and or is somebody who behaves in a restless way in order to kind of not have to just sit and feel all the feelings or watch all the feelings. You know, that the restless behavior is a distraction thing. You know, it's like some of us are quite bad for picking up our phone to distract ourselves from, you know, from being in the moment if the moment's uncomfortable. So it's a bit like that. So I hope this video has been helpful in terms of looking at, you know, what our beliefs might be surrounding feeling restless and wanting to feel relaxed, or just feeling discomfort generally. And do take care. Bye.